By this small unveiling of myself, you may have correctly assumed that the wrapper I wear is one of a small white woman with white blonde hair. Each of us have singular moments in our development when we lose our infant's lack of self-awareness and begin to understand that we are a separate person. We have fleeting moments that register a shift in our understanding. We begin to acknowledge that our looks and behavior have both a positive and a negative reaction from others. We begin to realize that we're being categorized and that those categories carry both expectations and limitations. Let me share a few of the fleeting moments that have created who I am. It's mine, not yours. I was 1 year old when my parents bought our home. During the building process, we went for a visit. My dad was holding me as we looked through the unfinished kitchen window. I was told by him that this was our home. I could feel this home fill my dad with happiness and pride. This was our home. Feeling discomfort. Before I could walk, my mom would take me through the park in a carriage. There was one stretch in the route that was really, really bumpy. And it was extremely uncomfortable, and I actually understood that I was uncomfortable. I knew by the sound of the wheels when we were getting close to that spot, and it really did not feel good. Being a girl. Starting around 4 years old, my mom and I went weekly to have our nails done and go out to lunch. I would wear my favorite dress, white gloves, would go and sit at a table with white tablecloth with beautiful dishes. It was just a magical day, and I was a girl, a little girl. Understanding my skin is white. Both my parents worked at least 2 jobs, yet when I was 3 years old, my mom gave birth to my brother. For a short period of time, she had a woman come into our home to help her with the housework, and she was a black woman. I remember thinking how beautiful and soft her skin was, and she gave the best hugs. Actually, I could not wait for her to come over. I would get all dressed up just like we were going out to have our nails done, and I thought she was coming just to visit me. I can't imagine that she really played with me, but I did love spending time with her. Sexism. I think my first understanding of sexism was when I was around 10 years old. We spent our summers at the beach, and as kids it was great fun to sleep outside with your friends in a small pup tent. My family had a large yard, and we slept in the front lot. I do remember that we'd wake up in the morning with ants running all over the place, eating all our snacks from the night before, and we thought it was just great. There was no problem with that as a kid. One summer, my younger brother and his friends decided to put the pup tent on the beach, and they got the parental green light, and they had a blast. Next, it was the girls' turn. We also wanted to sleep on the beach. It was forbidden. The girls had to stay in the front lot. I was furious. I was just so furious. With all the drama of a preteen girl, I ranted and raved, yet to no avail. There was no discussion. The girls continued to sleep in the front yard. Racism. It really wasn't until I started dating that I realized that there was negative connotations connected with race. One of my favorite dancing boyfriends was from the Philippines, and all was fine. Yet at one point, my parents thought I was becoming far too close to him, and I was forbidden from dating him. I realized then that there was a subtle racism that I did not know existed in my family. Socioeconomic class. Income was never discussed in my family. It was considered a private matter. We were never paid for our chores, yet we got an allowance. So money management was actually taught firsthand. At the age of 12, my allowance went up to $5 a week. Out of that, I had to buy all my clothes, except for my shoes and my winter coat. And believe me, that's when I learned to sew. We lived and grew up in a development of identical ranch-style homes. It was only my brother and myself in our family, yet other families in our neighborhood had as many as 12 children. The families that had a lot of children were always the best to play at. You could come over anytime, you could sleep over anytime, you could eat over anytime. Everybody was welcome, you were just one of the kids. It was the night we were served powdered milk with ice cubes for dinner that I realized our family had more money than other families. On the flip side, when I was applying to colleges, I said to my dad one night at the dinner table that if he earned less than $20,000 a year, I could apply for a particular grant. Well, when he finally stopped laughing, he just said, "You can apply," and there was absolutely no more discussion. Wealth was just not a concept we were expected to ponder. You just did what you needed to do to pay your bills. In junior high school, many of my girlfriends were Jewish. Everything was fine until we hit high school. We were now of dating age, and I was called a shiksa. A shiksa? Well, what's that? Anyways, for fear of me influencing their daughters to choose a wrong mate, I was no longer accepted into many of my friends' homes. It did feel awful. Ageism. I've always been a physically active person, and when I was 35, I used to take around 5 or 6 aerobic classes a week. One day, a new young woman of about 18 came to class, and the first thing she said to me was, "Wow, you can still do this at your age?" I really do know that's not the definition of ageism, yet she had classified me as being too old. Yet, despite all our individual differences, once our outer wrappings of social classification are removed, we're pretty much identical. Ponder your own personal moments and then judge me based on what you find only by looking into my eyes. All my truths are right there in plain view, and so are yours.